Hi everyone and welcome again. Been a few days since the last video. For me it's been 2 days. So yesterday I came back and that's when I don't film because I'm doing a load of cleaning, sorting, organising and maybe fitting a few bits and pieces just to prepare for the big day, which is today. And I'll just show you exactly what I've been doing. Yes, we have been very, very busy. Now, I have been under the car cleaning that up quite a bit. Okay, you could possibly see. Yes, I went against my word and painted the blooming pipes. I've also cleaned all around where the brake pipes are, the exhaust heat shield, and the section which the subframe bolts to. There's a bit of surface corrosion where the spacers sit. That's usual because there would be a gap there, but otherwise okay. Make sure you check the brake pipes where they go just above the subframe. By the way, if your brake pipes that go down the car are showing signs of rusting where they go through the clips, they are very, very sneaky buggers. They will rust going through the clips. If there is any sign, you will need to change your brake lines and copper them. That means this has got to be done now when the subframe is off. You can't change the brake pipes fully unless you stop halfway down the car. The idea is you go from the union connections just where the camera is pointing inside. My arms aren't long enough. But overall, all good, all good. And I'm happy with everything I've seen. Now, there's a few tips I've got for you. I was assembling it last night. Everything got a clean up. These bolts, look, I'm not particularly happy with the appearance of them, but at the end of the day I can't really brush them up any more than what I would like to. This one in particular, there's a weakness here, so I've got to be careful where I've got to remember where I put this one. But it doesn't matter because they're all, I think this one as well, they're all going to get a lot of copper slip. Okay, you must have copperies. Okay, this is my tool today because a lot of these bolts, we don't want them seizing. We don't want anything seizing in there for a start. The bottom arms arrived yesterday. Thankfully, I thought I was going to have to fit the subframe without them. Now, the truth is, some people do it two ways. They either fit the subframe as it is here, like I took it off, without the arms, or they fit the arms on and put it up as one unit. I've got to be honest, I haven't got my big jack because it's too heavy to bring down here and Ruby's not working properly again. So I've had to do a lot of walking and I can't carry the big one. I've got to carry the small one. So it's going to be a tricky task and I'm going to do that on a time lapse or just you watching me because I've got to line these 4 bolts. So these 4 bolts go at the back, 1, 2, 3, 4 where the spaces are. Okay, the 2 long, well, they're fractionally, no, they're actually the same size, but they've got a different pitch and thread size and a different head. So these are the 15mm heads, these are the 18mm heads. You've got to get these in and get it lined up. Now, there is a tip I have for you. These spacers, because we broke the plastic lugs on the old one, you can't avoid that, unfortunately. You've got to. You have to Gorilla Glue these in place, and now they've stuck firmly. I'm not going to move them too much, but they're just about enough to get them seated. Oh, by the way, the other 2 are in there. I couldn't get them glued down. They go there and there. It's not a big deal. As long as you've got 4 to help you line it up. Those spacers are only there to allow the subframe to mate up. Okay, that is it. They're not there for any other reason. And it will allow you to tighten the bolts without the subframe shifting. That's the theory behind these spacers. It says that on the Ford technical service manuals that I've managed to acquire, which will be coming out very soon as an episode. But it's all back on. Number 1, top tip. The pinch bolt for the steering coupler, okay? 28 Newton meters, apparently. I've done it up to 35 because I felt that there was actually a fraction of better play, actually. I do hope to God that it's not the steering coupler, but I doubt it is because it would be the rack that would cause excessive wear. I could hear it coming from here. Well, that would be very unlucky, but at least I know the problem. That'll be interesting findings. Not. The other things are, obviously, I made a boo-boo when I put these boots on. The clips for the vent pipe are a bit too high. This pipe should be below here, not above. So I'm hoping that the hydraulic pipes are not going to clash with this when I connect them up. I'm just going to have to pry this out with a pick in a second. They're just caps for in situ. I'll take them out in a second. These two bolts, 50 Newton meters, done. Now, the anti-roll bar clamps, you know the new ones that I bought? Yeah, no, these are not the new ones. These are the old ones that I've had to paint. Why? I think some of you might have been telling me on your screen that they're not the correct ones. They are. They've got the same parts number to these, but apparently Ford have revised them. So Ford have actually revised them to the point where they actually go all the way around and you don't require this spacer anymore. So it eliminates that part. But there's a problem with that, and the reason I can't use them, so I'm going to have to use, I might use them with Mr. Ink, probably will do, but I've got to find more of these bolts. These are the short ones. I can't use that long one with the new clamp. So I need another pair of these short ones to go here. So I'm going to, I've measured this, and I'm going to get some made up for the future. I've made a note of what size they are and thread. So I've got that sorted, but I couldn't use it for this instance. So it was a bit frustrating, but so what? These are painted up quite nicely. The anti-roll bars come up reasonably well. There's a bit of corrosion. It's this side that's the worst bit. I just couldn't stop that. The problem is the only way of doing that is an angle grinder or blasting, but even blasting wouldn't quite do it. Some people prefer to do things like powder coating. Yeah, I mean, this is powder coated, but the cost at the end of the day, and it looks fantastic. It really does. These bolts, by the way, and this is the problem with what I did before, they have to be torqued up in stages. So you get the bush sitting nicely where you've got a square cut out. The flat bit is at the bottom, okay? You put the two bolts in, get them both into the thread, and then I used my impact gun, which was really good because there's a lot of pressure on those bolts to just wind it in until it the gun started clicking and jumping, which is what the sign it's torquing. And then I started going for the torque wrench. Now it's two stages. You've got to do it 50 Newton meters on both sides and then 70. That's the stage. You cannot do that, and I didn't do that in situ. It is very possible this bar feels much stiffer than it did before. And I'm now wondering, because I didn't do the torque properly, because I couldn't, whether that affected the strength of the bar and how much stiffness there was in the suspension. So I'm now thinking there's going to be an improvement when cornering with this anti-roll bar. Now it's been properly torqued in, because that bush has got to be clamped down properly, and I think that's the why it's two stages. But anyhow, make sure that this cover is off when you torque. By the way, you have to torque this up first, obviously, before you put this cover on. And you can't, this was the problem. When you do it in situ, getting to that bolt's fine, but getting to that bolt, hello, we've got this in the way. Yeah, getting to that, it requires a universal joint socket. So there's no way that I could have done that in situ properly. So I am convinced that that is way more stiff. The last thing really is these arms. Now I've bought these arms, Delphi, okay, TC870, TC871. Those are the numbers. I have gone for some reasonably priced arms. They were about £42, so not cheap, not expensive. People will be asking me, why didn't you go and get some Lemforder ones? Because you seem to be standardising on them. And yes, I agree. Lemforder, Lemforder, Lemforder. I agree. Genuine bushes. If I can't get genuine, I get Lemforder. But in this case, the Lemforder ones are £80, and they would take 3 weeks delivery. And I didn't have the time nor the money, because the money's gone into this. So I have gone for the item that can be replaced. If these cause a problem with me, I'll review these and see how they go in terms of longevity. I've no doubt these are going to go brown, surface rusty very quickly, because I doubt that the quality Lemforder parts. This has been on the car for 3 years, and look at it. it's not one bit of surface rust because the metal's been treated. That's what you get for paying for really expensive bits. And I suspect that these nuts, which come with the Lemforder outer rods, will not rust, because these certainly haven't. So that's what you get for your cheaper parts. You've got to accept that they will pit. I could paint them, but I'm not going to bother. It will be what it is. So I'll review these and see how they feel. And if I'm not happy with them, I will swap them out for Lemforder ones, because you can. They're a removable service item when it comes to repair, and Ford made it relatively easy-ish to get them out, apart from that blasted pinch bolt. So anyway, I'm going to leave that there. We are all done. We're in situ. Obviously, you put your steering rack in first, you get that bolted down, then your anti-roll bar. Now, this is the bit where I'm going to have to leave you, because I've got to line it all up, okay, underneath the car. It's a faff and no camera work. Well, I'll just leave you on the side and you see what you see. Okay. Let's do all these up. Not snugly. I want to make sure that the subframe is sitting nicely on those spacers. You do the other two down there. This bugger up there has been centered, and we're all good. We're almost all in. Brilliant. We are all in position. Now, I've just checked with my eyesight that the alignment hole is absolutely perfect on that side, and that suggests that the subframe is sitting absolutely perfectly. And do you know what? It fits like a glove, and I tell you what, it's already transformed the look of the front of this car. So I can lower this down. By the way, my block of wood did slip off. Be very careful, guys, because this is hollow. You could bend it, but we haven't done any damage whatsoever. There's only this concave here which is cut out for the actual mounting, so that's usually there. But just be very careful. We don't want to bend it, and then that will be game over. Yeah, that'll be a lot of money wasted, Andrew. Try to explain that to the company. Oh, you sent me a bent subframe. Oh, dearie me. Yeah, I bet people tried that one when they made a mistake. But anyway, I'm just going to get out of it. My shoulder is absolutely shot. I tend to lean on my right shoulder quite a bit, so I'm going to have to do a bit of lefty shoulder action. But we're all done. The impact gun did come in hand for the side bolts, because I had to use that extension. And basically what I did is I got the first two in, zoomed, that's a technical term, with the gun to just get it up. And then what happened is the subframe was like that. It sort of tilted to the back. So I needed to move the jack to the back and then tilt the back up and then line the 4 back bolts in. Now, torque settings. Okay, so where are we? Front suspension, front subframe, cross member, front 2 bolts, that's the side ones, 115, the rears 175. Consider it done. Oh, flipping heck. That was only 115. Blimey heck. These are going to be so... Woo, dearie me. Now, if you haven't seen that, it didn't click on any of them. I cannot turn these bolts anymore, and considering the rusty state of a couple of them, I don't want to have any shearing. That would be a disaster. These bolts are pretty yielded as far as I'm concerned. And if you're sweating and exhausted like I feel now, you've done enough. Job done. Next part. Okay, right, so what we have now is a bit of a mess because we're still leaking a bit of hydraulic fluid everywhere. Lovely. So if you can see, a couple of pipes. Now these two pipes are two different diameters, okay, so you can't get them wrong whichever pipe you feed in first. So we'll push this in first, make sure it goes all the way, yep, until it butts up. That's lovely. And then the other one, if I can find the hole, that would be, there we go. That one went in with a bit of a click. This one obviously hasn't quite, yeah, that one's meant to go in with a click. The other one doesn't really, so don't worry about that too much. Sorry about the lighting, but it's either not enough light or too much. Now we put the clamp over, just flick it over. Whoops. There we go. Lovely, fantastic. That's all we want. And then we can put the bolt in to secure the clamp, otherwise it will just be moving all over the place. Okay, we just want that clamp to sort of go over there. See that? Yeah? Right, what I'm going to do is get that little bolt, try and line it in. Hopefully with success. There we go, it's gone straight in. And when you put that, tighten that bolt down with a 10mm, try and get a 10mm spanner. You can get a flare spanner, but I'll try and use this ratchet spanner. There we go. And now these O-rings, by the way, you can replace them. If they are, by the way, if you get leaks from these pipes, it will be the O-rings from this section. So if it was to start leaking now because I've disturbed the O-rings, it wouldn't be a hard process to sort out, basically. So it's not the end of the world. You just got to bear it in mind. Oh, come on. I'm glad I've painted these pipes up, actually. It makes such a big difference. I now can't get my spanner out because it's so tight against the pipes. There we go. Oh, flipping heck. If we go get it out then. Right, just clean up the excess hydraulic fluid. Have a look. Yeah, we're all butted in there. That's nice. Good, we're in. We're blimmin' in. So just keep an eye on it, but if you get some leaks coming from these pipes in the future, it is worth noting it's the O-rings that will be failing. And I'm pretty sure you can get them from Ford without buying the entire pipe work. That's usually how Ford works. So we won't sell you an O-ring, we'll just sell you the entire pipe. And I'll tell you something, on an automatic, by the way, that's disastrous. Well, not on an automatic. On a non-power, get it right, Andrew, non-air conditioning car, I have this pipe that I've just painted, okay? If you've got aircon, you won't have this pipe because you won't have the power steering at the front. This pipe goes all the way around here, see? It's this one. That is one pipe, and it will cost from Ford, brand new, £360. So if you have non-aircon, like Nick and me, you will have this pipe. I am looking for a spare one of these for that very reason, but all the others I've seen are very rusty, so I am on the lookout myself. So yeah, I definitely need to get one of these as a spare, because if this ever gets damaged, like by a rock or something hitting it, oh, nightmare. Right, we're all in, and it looks like the pipes are okay on this side. I'm just going to move that over there because I kind of need to put these pipes kind of together for the clamp. The clamp will go where my hands are, okay? So I'll fit that in a second. The next thing I need to fit is the engine mount. Right, now we've got that in position, we now need to focus on the engine mount. So I'm going to pop that in there. And the first thing you do is a mistake that everybody makes, is you do not put the long bolt. The long bolt goes in here. The short one goes through here, okay? If you put the long bolt through there, it's going to jack into your steering rack. Don't do it, okay? Don't do it. Now, I personally don't think I need to put copper grease on this because it's come off that many times. It's not the essential one. Excuse me. No, it's definitely not the essential one for doing this. So I'm just gonna. Oh, come on. There we go. And that welded nut is in the perfect position. A very, very well made subframe. Look how easy that's gone in. There we go. Just wind it all. See, now, this is my point. Look at where that nut, look at the end of it. It's almost touching the steering rack, right? Now that's going to be torqued up in a second to 50 Newton meters. In fact, I'll do that in a second. I need some flexibility at the moment. We get the clamp. You could put the bottom side in this way. So I'll probably do it like that and then like that. There we go. Okay. So we'll get the engine lined up in a bit, okay, because the whole thing is kind of shaking, but just move it there. Just move you guys over here so you can just see a little bit better. And then we've got 2 bolts. So first one, if I come in with my ambidextrous hands, nope, that's not going to do. Maybe get the bottom one in first because that's always the easiest. Yeah, and that'll line it in. And then the second one, it's always a bit of a faff, this, actually. But this is how you replace your rear engine mount. So I'm not only just doing a steering rack today, I'm telling you how to do a few bits. Obviously, I was unsuccessful with Nick's because this bolt had seized into the metal collar of the mounting. Probably a really good reason why a Mark 1 that's had a lot of its bits sorted is a good car to go for, because it's had its bolts disturbed. And what I'm finding is with many of them that are now, well, they're all 20 years of age now. Even if they were pre-registered, they were, well, registered really late on. They're coming to about 20 years old now. They've been on the road for 20 years. And what I'm finding is most of them that are pretty original. Mr. Ink is probably one of them. Is that everything's so difficult to take apart because it hasn't been apart in 20 years. That may be okay for certain makes of car, and you need a 13mm spanner, but it's not particularly conducive when it comes to actually removing bits like this. You'll find that in 20... Oh, I haven't even looked at Mr. Inks yet, so I'll come to that when I come to that. Excuse me, get it the right way. Just trying to get that top bolt. There we go. There we go. So yeah, little things like this that can be a bit of a pain. Can be a bit of a tricky one. I've just seen remnants of possible. Well, that's not ATF fluid. I was going to say I think my drive shaft's leaking. There's a little bit of moisture around here. I'm just going to clean this away and just recheck at a later date. That'll be the next thing. Gearbox seals. Not a hard thing to do. Oh, God, this bolt is taking forever. GoPro, stop recording. Right, now the long bolt goes this way into the thread of this bracket, so just pull the engine and gearbox back until it lines in. There we go. Lovely. Right, do you know what? Yeah, I'm just sick and tired of it. 13 mil. I don't know what the torque setting for this is. I think it's about 50 again. But quite frankly, my back's starting to kill me. Right. Why not have enough? Lovely. I'll torque this up to 50, the same as this, so we can torque both of them. Whichever one. There we go, that's 50. There we go. Now, that bolt is touching the rack just slightly, but it's only like scratching the surface. It's not actually pushing into it. But that's how important that is. So we've done this, we've done this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish on that side by putting that little clamp just to hold these pipes together. I'll do that off camera because you know how to do it. Just get the clamp, put it together, put the nut through, and there is a little thread on the steering rack. You'll know where the clamp goes because you'll see a little hole where the little 5.5mm screw goes into. There we go. Right, after I announced that, I needed to take a bit of a break, mainly because I cut my wrist and had to attend to that on the first aid basis, tetanus hashtag. So I decided to call it quits for a couple of hours. Now I'm back. I have done a couple of things. So the heat shield is now in place. Where's my damn torch gone? Heat shield is in place. It's all looking fantastic down there. It's looking brilliant. It's all been bolted in. The clamp's in place. I'm really pleased with how that is all looking there. Excuse my camera angles. We've also put this arm on completely. We've cleaned up bolts and new ball joints. It's looking fantastic. And it went on pretty well, apart from the fact that I managed to sort of split the drive shaft, the intermediate drive shaft. But it's not a problem because it just hooks back in and it's gone back in nicely. It just, unfortunately, I pulled the hub too far away and it just sort of decided to slip out, and I had to try and coax it to slip back in. You can do that with the inner joints. It's not too much of a problem. This side, we'll cover this side and we'll go through everything you need to know about changing the arms on this car. Apart from that, I am going to fill it with hydraulic fluid once I've switched off the camera. Bleed the system. You've seen me do that before. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'll cut to right at the end and we'll announce what's if we've got any bloody leaks, and then I've got to start all over again. I hope not. There's a lot of things that are being changed, and the problem is when you change a lot of things, that's the higher risk, and you've got to pay attention to these buggers, torque settings. Set that up, and hopefully we'll just hook straight back in. Come on, there we go, lovely. It will all self-center out once it's all on. So once we've hit the locking nut, that's what it's supposed to do, and then it will probably start spinning. Oh, I might have gone too much on the gun, but that doesn't matter. Over-torqued, just about over-torqued. That's all right. That's no problem. We'll leave it as it is. Now we've done the anti-roll bar. That's all connected. I have just slipped the arm in. Now, some people have difficulties in doing this. I've done it on several cars now. And some people try and put the ball joint in first, and some people put the arms in. You have to go by the book, okay? The first one really is to get this rear, these two bolts in for the rear bush, the trailing bush on this wishbone. You have to get, obviously, the front one in roughly as well. So what I would recommend is, this is why I think disconnecting the drive shaft really does pay dividends. Now, I'm just going to turn the steering. Do not connect this up yet, okay? we're going to bring the arm forwards, not out, Andrew. Now what you need to do is push it in like that, okay? And bring the arm up, because when you push it down, right, when it's down like that, that's going to be up at the back. You're never going to get the bolt in. So have it like that, okay? And then what you do is you stick the front bolt in. So the best way of doing it is by having a bit of vision around here. So you need to see where this bush is sitting. Now I would say if we can just move that arm. Now we've got to be careful, because this is what happened on the other side. What I did is I pulled the hub this way and the intermediate joint came apart, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Right, now we've got it level. What you want to do is get the arm straight. There we go. We've got that whole copperies on the bolt. Has it gone all the way through? You need to put your hand in. No, it hasn't. Keep going. I think it needs shifting a little bit. It might take a bit of doing. Oh, I can feel it. Hold on. Should be able to get... right. 2 seconds. I might be able to get the hammer to that. Done. The hammer's just literally whacked it through. Okay, that's possibly what it takes just to get that one in. Get it all the way through. Okay, lovely. Now we have to come to the back side and put the big nut in, which is this. It's an 18mm. And put your hand in from behind, which is a bit difficult from this position, but you have to do it. And try and thread it on just a little bit. Try and get it on the first few threads. Righty-tighty, Andrew. There we go. Done. Oh, it looks like a completely new car up the front. It really has made a difference. This was one part of the car I've never been happy with. I've got to be honest, the drive shafts are looking very ropey as well. I think the drive shafts need to come out and probably be rebuilt in pieces, probably blasted, and I believe that the knuckles need to be changed as well. Now, what you need to do, I'm not going to show you from this position, but basically, so I can basically do it, we need to whack this bolt in just enough so it's tight. Now, coming from behind with your 18 and get it in there and get it, so there we go. It's, oh right, it's just latched against that nut. Yeah, and then we turn it to the right, holding the spanner. It's tough, this is, this gun's heavy. There we go, that's enough. Okay, so you've just used the tightening method. Now we're kind of in a much better position now, trying to give you as many angles as possible. But that nut down there that you can see, okay, it's pretty tight now. Now we need to sort this out. So I think the first and the easiest one is to get this rear nut sorted. Now this is going to take a bit of jiggling to get this bolt in. You may have to move this arm just a little bit, yeah, to get that bolt in. And it's the short one, so it's the again, it's the 15. I haven't put any copperies on this one because there's no shaft, because it just goes through this outer clamp just here. So if I just stick you there, just try and get it through. What I need to do is just move this. God, this is difficult. I didn't think this was going to be this hard. Sometimes it just happens by a bit of force. Let me get that hammer and just bash it through, because we're just going to get it seated. There we go. That's sometimes what it takes, just to get it seated perfectly. Now, We'll worry about how it's positioned in a second, because I just need to get these bolts roughly tight, but not ridiculously. So this one, again, it's the exact same. It's a 15 on the back side, and it's an 18 on this side. So get your gun, get your spanner, and tighten. Right, not too much. Okay, that's sitting nicely now. And now this is the one I can't show you, because I've got to get that long bolt through to that hole. This is the tricky one. However, it feels like it's lined up. That's good, that is. That's really good. So once you've got that one in and that one in, you get this one in here, and it lines up quite nicely. Now this is the tall one again. Now this is the big bolt. Copperies on that. Ooh, not a lot of it, but I've put some copperies on that shaft. And hopefully it could. It's gone straight in. Perfect. Now, excuse me. This is where I need two hands, guys. So I'm going to put the nut on and do exactly the same with the gun and spanner method. Come on. Just go in. You know you want to. Yeah. Okay, I've turned it until it kind of goes on. Now, make sure you've got that spanner. Make sure that spanner is in control of that nut. Fantastic. And off we go. That's enough. Okay, lovely. We're in. Right, in terms of that arm where it is, fantastic. Now we can get this ball joint on. Now, there's only one way of doing it. I'm going to leave you guys just to sit there for a second while I pop this ball joint back on. You're going to have to push it down and try and get it lined up with the spline. Oh. There we go. And because of the pressure, it will self-center. And now it requires is a hammer blow, and that should go straight in. Yeah. Hey, done. You just got to fight it, just imminently. And now it's all in. And now we can torque it all up. I'm just going to put this brand new Torx fitting with lots of copperies on the shaft, not on the thread, on the shaft. Okay, put it in, and that will hold that ball joint nice and true. And now we're going to torque it up correctly. We are not going to do what people do and whack, whack, whack with an impact gun and think, oh, that's good. No, I'm doing it properly. I'm doing it by the book to show you. Right, Torx. Yep, okay, lovely. That's been done. Now this lock nut is a bit loose. Now the truth is, I'm not going to lock it because the next journey this car makes is going to have a front wheel alignment. Goodness me, I was shocked by the cost of front wheel alignment these days. £40 just to do the front. They wanted 70 to do both, front and rear. Well, I don't think I need to worry about the rears. It's the front that needs to be done desperately. The steering is going to be off. It's going to be far worse when I drive the car. But the idea is that once the alignment's done, then we will feel the full benefit of all this. And that is that. That is how to change a lower arm on a Mark 1. An episode of multiple fixes. It's gone in so nicely, that has. Perfect. I caught the edge of the subframe. I'll just have to paint that a little bit. But you come in here. What a transformation versus this morning. It's all gone in so nicely, and the paintwork, the cleaning, the diligence, the homework I've had to do, it all makes sense. The next job will be to replace these rusty swivel pillars. They're horrible. That will be done very imminently. I think with drive shafts as well, and wheel bearings. That'll be another job for the future. But anyway, I've got to put some hydraulic fluid in this, and I'll cut to the end of the video. Oh, don't forget to put your pinch bolt back in for the column, yeah? And then you'll find out how far your steering is out. That's absolutely fine. Just move the steering wheel into its centres, and that should be fine. It will drive it will drive terribly. It will pull to one side. It will probably fight me around the corners. But once the wheel alignment is done, this will be done. Anyway, take care, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode dealing with now common problems with steering rack issues, changing some lower wishbones, run of the mill, and front subframes. Big problem. And hopefully you will have some inspiration to do it yourself. Take care. See you all soon. Tons of air.